Tim Cook needs absolutely no introduction because go look at the lines at any of the Apple stores, so I'm not even going to waste your time. Tim, please join me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Good
Tim.
to see everybody.
I have to tell you, not only do I believe in transparency, but I actually practice transparency, okay? So in the spirit of full transparency, confessions first. So I have developed this very bad habit over the past few years of putting my notes on little pieces of paper that look like this. And sometimes they look even, and I drop them on top of that. And very often, my staff will tell you pieces of paper look even smaller than this. So yesterday, I told one of my colleagues, you know, if I'm interviewing Tim Cook in public, I better put my notes into my iPad. To which he responded, yeah, but then you have to make sure that your iPad actually belongs in this century and not in the annals of history. And then I decided, okay, forget it. So I'll just return to my little pieces of paper. Okay, Tim.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, we're
really
so delighted. We are so delighted that you're here. It really proves that climate is now at the level of the largest company in the world. So, you know, I think we can say we have arrived, at least with respect to attention, and now the question is, what are we going to do about this, right? So why did you come to New York? You know, you're not exactly unoccupied these days.
I've got a couple things going on.
You have a couple of things.
I see this as a very key time, and a time of very great consequence. And from our point of view, the time for inaction has passed. And you know, Apple, at its roots, has a very core value of leaving the world better than we found it. And arguably, for us to do that, we must address this issue. And so that's why I'm here. There are so many important things, but you always make time for the ones that are truly important. And this is truly important for our company, our planet, our employees, our customers, everyone.
Well, time, right? You make time, and if there is a resource that is really, really scarce on the answer to climate change, it's time, Tim, because you know the science is telling us we are totally running out of time. And so what we have in front of us is the greatest revolution that we have ever thought of, that we have ever created. And what it requires is a huge impetus of innovation on the one hand, but also of demand for that innovation. And in my book, there is no company that has the capacity, the proven trajectory to actually be able to look not 2, but 10 steps into the future and produce not just the products, but also bring consumers quickly to those solutions. So if you extricate yourself for a moment from iPhone 6 and from the Apple Watch, how would you look at the huge challenge of moving the world into demanding not just climate action, because frankly, we don't have time for that. We need to demand low carbon, or even better, no carbon products and services. That is the kind of demand that we should be having. How do we accelerate that demand?
Yeah, you know, for us, we've never tried to steer the consumer. What we've tried to do is provide them something that's really great, that they didn't know that they wanted, but when they saw it and began to use it, they couldn't live without it. And I think there is a parallel to the topic that we're here today on. For us, how do we do it? If you watch our new product launches, with every product that we announce, we have an environmental checklist that goes with that announcement. And we're very clear about, we've eliminated toxins, that it's highly recyclable, that it's energy efficient, because all of these things matter deeply to us, and we believe they matter to consumers. And so I think companies have to communicate to consumers about what they're selling. And they have to do it in a way that incorporates the whole of their footprint, not just one piece of it that they happen to be looking good on, but all of it. And I think if you do, I'm an optimist. I think consumers are really smart. I think they're really smart, and I think the vast, vast, vast majority of the world wants to do the right thing. And so I think if the transparency associated with at the product level, so people can really internalize what it means, will drive consumer behavior. If you have enough companies that begin to do that, then I think consumers will vote with their dollars. There's no one out there that wants the planet to go in the wrong direction or to continue to go in the wrong direction. People at heart are good, and so that's the way that I look at it. For us, what have we done? We set a goal to take all of our data centers to 100% renewable. We weren't going to go through the 30 and 40 and 50. We wanted 100. And so we have a great team of people. We have a huge data center in Maid, North Carolina. There weren't options to buy renewable energy. And so our only way of doing that was to build it. And so we're now the largest private owner of a solar farm in the nation, maybe in the world. It's enough. We're making enough energy there to power 14,000 homes, to kind of put it in perspective. And people told us it couldn't happen, it couldn't be done, but we did it. And it's great for the environment, and by the way, it's also good for economics. It's both. And we've then taken that formula and did that again and again with our different data centers. And so now, if you look at our corporate facilities, we're at 94% renewable. And we're chipping away at trying to get the last 6%. Now, what we have done is we look at our whole footprint. So we look at the energy that our products use after they're purchased. We look at recycling. We look at manufacturing. We look at our facilities, everything, literally everything. And so we're really turning our attention now to the supply chain in a major way. And I think we'll have an equal amount of innovation there.
I think a company like you really does have a huge potential to affect not just your own footprint, which you're dealing with squarely, but also supply chain. So how are you doing that? Because that affects actually the carbon footprint all the way up the stream.
It's dirty and it's detailed work. It's rolling your sleeves up. It's not necessarily, it's not esoteric in theory. It's real work and real projects. But at the core, if you look at what we've done with our data centers and our corporate facilities, and we're building a new headquarters that will, I think, be the greenest building on the planet. It'll be a center for innovation, and it's something clearly our employees want and we want. And so you basically do the same sort of things with your supply chain. You're getting into the level of detail about what are the root causes, and you're not accepting that there's a trade-off between the economy and the environment. Too many people believe you can do this or that. What we found is that both are doable. Is that if you innovate and you set the bar high, you will find a way to do both.
And that you have to do both.
And that you must do both, because the long-term consequences of not addressing climate are huge. I don't think anyone can overstate that. And so I think, we're talking and speaking out, in a way that we would not on our product roadmaps. You know, we're very secretive about what products we're working on.
Oh, really? I hadn't noticed.
But you may not have noticed. But on something like climate, on human rights, on education, we feel deeply about these. These are at the core of who we are. They're deep in our values. And we know that we will not make enough of a difference if we only solve our little piece of the world. That we need to be one of the pebbles in the pond that creates the ripple. And so that's the reason that I'm here. That's the reason that everyone in Apple is working so hard and pushing so much and not accepting that you have to pick this or this. You know, I think if we did that, if we took that kind of approach to our products, we would never make a great product. But the truth is you can't compromise. You can't assume that everything is a trade-off. You can do both. And so that's the way we look at it.
Well, I think not only do you do both, but you manage to do it in a sexy way. I mean, that's the fantastic thing, right? Because you manage to do it in a way that all of us want to be a part of it. Everybody is standing in line. Everybody wants to do it. So that is my deep question, right? How can we do that further? Because when you say, you know, we are a pebble in the pond and we actually have to worry about the ripple. Well, the ripple to a huge extent is consumers. And we have grown up believing that we cannot live without fossil fuels because that's in our DNA. And we have to change that chip. We have to understand that we are going to have to live completely without fossil fuels in the long term. And so how do we take care of that ripple and begin to send that message such that maybe there is initiative on the part of other enlightened CEOs, but if there isn't, certainly the initiative should come from the demanding public saying, I'm not going to buy that junky product because it's too intensive in carbon. How do we change that demand?
I don't think there's one simple answer, but I firmly believe that the vast majority of people want to address this issue. They may refer to it differently, they may speak the words differently, but no one wants a terrible environment. No one wants to leave this world worse off for the next generation. I mean, that's a cop-out for our generation if that occurs. That's an unacceptable alternative. And so I think it's important to communicate to consumers, those companies that do believe, why? What is it about what they're shipping? Whether it's the absence of toxins or the energy efficiency of things, or that company's carbon footprint. Eventually, consumers will vote with their dollars.
Yes.
And now, is there a magic bullet? I think my own belief is there are products you can only create if they're green. And so you think about that from an Apple point of view, and because our whole model is not on asking you what you want, it's on delivering something to you that you begin to use.
Did you begin to understand that you want?
Yes. And so it's not about trying to change who you are. It's about giving you a tool that empowers you to do things that you couldn't do otherwise. And our whole company is based on that. And so I think to the degree, and I think this will happen as time goes on, is there will be products that are designed and materials, sustainable materials that are used that will create products that only could be created if they were sustainable. And so I think there's different phases to this. I think there's communicating and being very clear, and consumers are really smart. They'll begin to choose. They'll begin to select companies that got their act together and not select the ones that don't. And then when you begin to design products that can only be designed in this way, I think you really flip a whole lot of people. And so I'm actually very optimistic about this, very, very optimistic.
So are millennials our hope here? Are we giving up on our own generation?
No, I'm not giving up. I mean, you and I are old farts, or maybe I am, but I can't
I
say
am
that
too.
you
Look
are.
at
But no, I'm not giving up on our generation. I think that the boomer generation, we have to look at ourselves deeply and ask ourselves, are we going to be the first generation that leaves the next one worse off? I mean, do you want to be a part of that club?
No, but I've been very public about that for a long time.
I don't want to be a part of that. And so that drives me to push. And in several areas, when I have a nephew that I dearly love that's 10, and when I look at him and I think about leaving the world for him that's not as good as when I entered it, that's just, there's no bigger sin than that. And so, I'm talking about my view, but that's an Apple value. That's our corporate values. We're going to do everything that we can do to leave the world better than we found it. And your generation, our generation, are still a part of that. Our toes aren't pointing up yet. And I think all of us do need to take a hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we going to be the first ones that screwed this thing up?
Because we are the first ones that realize that we could screw it up, or that we have up until
That's
now
right.
screwed it up.
That's right. We do realize it now. And when you realize it and you see the urgency, it is time to act now. And so everyone that hasn't been on board, that's okay, but now is the time to get on board. And, I hope that people look at some of the things we're doing, and maybe they've got some ideas of things we could do that we're not, and we're very open. Maybe they'll take some things that we've done and copy it. This is an area of our business I'd love people to copy. There's some other areas I don't want them to copy, but on this, I want it. Things can be so much better. Things should be so much better, and the next generation deserves it.
So we can address climate change.
We can, and
Thank
we
you.
will.
And
It's
we will.
great talking with you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for all the work you do.
Thank you.